Here's a percent problem. If an 8-inch by 10-inch photocopy is enlarged to 120% of its size, what are its new dimensions? Well, they're going to be, let's take care of the 8-inch, and 120% corresponds to, in decimal form, 1.2. So we'll multiply 1.2 times 8, and that equals 9.6, and the units are inches. Now we'll do the same thing again, except this time we're talking about 10, and we're going to enlarge that 120%, so we'll use the decimal form of 120%, which is 1.2, and the product of these two is 12 inches. So we're talking about 9.6 inches by 12 inches. And we're done. Well, an electrician needs fuses for a motor being installed. If the motor current is 50 amps and the fuse must be rated at 175% of the motor current, what size fuse will the electrician need? Well, all we need to do is multiply 50 amps times 175%. But to carry out that multiplication, we have to rewrite that percent in terms of, in its decimal form, which is 1.75, move the decimal over twice. And now we can carry out the multiplication. What we get is 87.5 amps. And we're done. So on a cutting operation, 2 square feet of sheet metal is wasted for every 16 square feet used. What is the percent waste? Well, let's see. So we have 2 square feet divided by 16 square feet, and these divide out. And 2 goes into 16, 2 goes into 2 once, into 16 8 times. And now we'll turn that into a percent, so I'll just multiply by 1 in the form of 100%. And since we're multiplying fractions, I'll put 1 down there also. And ultimately what we have is 100% divided by 8. And 8 goes into 112.5, and that's going to be percent, isn't it? And so we are done. A small gasoline shop engine develops 65 horsepower at 2,000 RPM. At 2,400 RPM, its power output is increased by 25%. What actual horsepower does it produce at 2,400 RPM? Well, let's see. It's going to 65 RPM plus and an increase of 25%, so 0.25 times 65. But factoring a 65 out of both those terms, we get 65 times 1 plus 0.25. In other words, we have 65 times 1.25. And that product is 81.25. And that's horsepower, HP. Now, had we increased it by 50%, we would have multiplied by 1.5. Had we increased it, doubled it, we would have multiplied by 2. Anyhow, but this time we multiplied by 1.25 because we increased it by 25%, and we're done.